Please enjoy this feature presentation of the Crooked River Radio Network. This program may contain adult content and is intended for mature audiences only.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The arguments begin now.
I'm going to that next.
Okay, there you go. All right,
there we go. So what's going on, Mr. Dale?
Same old day, or every day, same old shit. You know, I mean, living life. You know, hey, got a day off.
Wow.
Gonna get some overtime this week. You know, overtime's always nice. I get to beat up on you for a little bit.
And I
mean,
I get to beat up on you too.
Good night's sleep. You know, life is good. You know, I mean, not much to, complain about.
You couldn't have it much better than that.
You know, I can find plenty to complain about, but not anything that anybody cares about.
Yeah, I hear that too. Well, I think I probably ought to turn that on too. Yeah, that works. Welcome everybody to the Art of Argument. I'm Dale and I are co-hosts, and we argue about anything.
Well, I just want to start off by saying I don't like the color of your socks. Okay.
Well, I don't like your hat.
Well, good. All right, so now we're on the same page.
Yeah, that's right.
Get ready, folks. It's about to go down.
And those glasses, man, you need to change some things. Make sure your ears hang out.
Damn. Makes my ears hang out?
Yeah.
That's why you wear headphones.
That's right. See.
So your ears don't hang out.
That's right. See?
You got to remember, I'm married to your daughter.
I
know what those ears are all about.
There is method in all this madness here, Dale. Woke up.
Why you think your daughter grows her hair long?
Yeah.
Cover up those ears.
I'll tell her you said that.
Oh, I've told her that many times. Although she's got to where she only does, it's a lot longer on one side than the other, so you can see her ear on the one side. Yeah. She's come to grips with it, and she's like, you know what? I don't give a shit.
She's a pretty young woman, even for me.
She's like, go after yourself. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I won't break my arm patting myself on the back or nothing. Oh, good grief. I woke up this morning, and first thing, the wife comes in. She says, did you hear the news? I said, what news? She says, Pope Francis died. I said, yeah. I said, I didn't hear it. I said, but he has been in failing health. And then the first thing that pops into my mind was Pope Francis. And I thought, J.D. Vance was just there. Let's go with a little conspiracy here.
Oh, my Lord Jesus Christ himself. Lord Jesus, please help me.
Oh, let's hear it.
Please forgive me.
Make it good.
For what I might say in the next hour, because the stuff just got real. What? So what? You think J.D. Vance came in and poisoned the frickin' Pope?
Well,
I mean, come on.
There is no such thing as a coincidence.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm not saying, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's what happened. But the conspiracy theorist in me says, and it just so turns out that Vince was the last one he saw, more or less.
Oh, really? You don't think that after he left J.D. Vance that a man that lives in his own city
Oh,
with his own,
he has his own.
He's got more security than fucking the president of the United States, his own police department, his own like half-ass government, and yeah, J.D. Vance killed him. I mean, come on now, really? I mean, let's get realistic here for a fucking minute.
If I would have known this was going to fire you up so much.
Oh, no, I could go on for days about the fucking Pope. So, I mean, you want to get into all that, we can have that whole conversation.
That's all right.
But, yeah, I didn't think so.
But that's reading some of the comments.
J.D. Vance killed the fucking Pope.
Reading some of the comments of
idiots.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call them idiots.
Oh, I would.
On social media.
Okay, I would. If they're pretty much, generally speaking, if they're on social media, they're fucking idiots.
Yeah, well,
because they ain't got nothing better to do but go, oh my God, J.D. Vance killed the fucking Pope.
It's kind of funny how many people took that way. I wasn't the only one.
That's like the crazy cat lady.
Yeah. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Well, in some places they do that. But anyway, because I've actually seen it on video. But, I mean, that's beside the point.
101 Ways to Walk Your Dog?
No, I was watching. No, it's been many years ago. They were taking live cats and dipping them into this. Basically, it was like a boiling oil, which hopefully would kill them very quickly. And they would just quick dip, pull them out, and just whip the skin off of them because it would just peel off. And then you would have an empty, carcass there that you could get meat from. It was one of the grossest things that I have ever seen.
I would imagine so.
I mean, I know we all eat meat and things happen to animals and stuff like that and whatnot. But I mean,
we are
I guess us over here in America, we don't eat our pets. In some countries, that's like, well, we ain't got nothing else. So this is what we eat.
Unless you live in Springfield.
It's hard to stomach.
Unless you live in Springfield.
Well, I might be eating them over there too.
Speaking of that, that business, since we do have a little bit of time here, there was I usually watch Saturday Night Live pretty much every weekend. And I watch it for a couple of different things. I like the weekend update that they do with that Cole and Jost and that other guy. I can't think of his name. But the one that was on this last weekend had God, I knew his name till. Hey, Flora, do you remember who was on Saturday Night last week? Yeah, it was. I want to say it was Andrew Dice Clay, but that wasn't him.
I don't see them pulling him out of the woodwork, but I guess that's...
Yeah, it was Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle was...
Whoa, Dave Chappelle?
Yeah.
Pulled him out of the woodwork. Okay.
And
I'm going to have to go back and look at that.
He got talking during his... They gave him, let him do an actual monologue, which is pretty rare on that show for more than a couple of minutes. They'll do the cold open, then they pop into the first, the guest comes out and introduces, and then they go on to the bunch of skits. Well, he actually did about a 20-minute 20-minute monologue.
20-minute.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it was.
Oh, I will
He's
tell you, I've seen stuff and then I've run into interviews and different things, and Chappelle has a lot to say. I mean, a whole lot.
well,
He don't agree with a whole lot of things going on in Hollywood. He really doesn't.
he was talking about this was supposedly filmed around the time of the dog and cat accusations, and he says, he says I actually live one town over from Springfield, and he says I think that's what by Dayton I would think, Xenia. I'm not. I have to look at a map. But he says, he says, I saw both sides of that. He says, for them to actually talk about eating animals and stuff like that, and the false accusations, he says, I cannot agree with that. He says, it's one thing to say you're going to go eat somebody's kitty cat, but on the other side, he says, when you start getting involved with stuff like that, he says, they don't. He says that land was actually. He says the government brought in 20,000 or so Haitians or whatever, and actually gave them land and gave them property to be on. And he says they were all legal citizens. But we'll leave the legality of that out at least for the moment. And he says those people are actually buying their own way and stuff like that. He says they're doing menial jobs, which nobody else wants to do. He says, in some aspects, I couldn't see no white ass fool doing some of the jobs that they're doing. He says, personally, I think it's good for the community. He says, but a lot of people don't seem to share my opinion. That was probably the first time that I ever watched that guy in particular. I've always thought he was kind of a loud mouth.
I also heard at the same time that you're talking about the cat incident, and the thing that they blast over the news was some crazy bitch that may very well have been doing what she was doing, but I don't know if that necessarily is going to speak out for the community as a whole. Because I mean, if you listen and watch the footage of that video where the woman got arrested, the bitch was fucking crazy. Okay, she missed her meds. She did something. She didn't have no meds.
Yeah, I remember when all
the
that
bitch
was
was
going
crazy.
on.
Now, so that doesn't necessarily speak for the whole community. But then when you find out in the community, down by the pond, ducks are coming up missing and other animals are dying. That, in a sense, kind of makes you wonder. Now, some of these folks, are they going down that road or not? But like I said, that doesn't necessarily, maybe many of them are trying to assimilate into the United States and how we do things. And then maybe some of them are not. It's just like you have Mexicans coming over the border. You have some of them that come to assimilate to the United States because they came to get away from whatever problems they had in their lives. And then you have some that come over here because they're like, oh, well, we can get away with most of the shit we was doing over there and it'll just be a lot easier over here. So, you know, you can't blame every single person for the bad things happening, but you do need to weed them out.
Oh, and I agree with you for the most part. If they've had as far as the immigration thing, we can go ahead and touch on that now if you want. As far as the immigration thing, if these people and in some cases they've been found to have gotten that, and had records when they come in here, then you shouldn't be letting them in here because you're asking for trouble. But that to take and the deportations of those, I don't really, I find that almost agreeable because it's taken violence out of this country, and this country's weird enough as it is, and there's enough.
That's because the kids are fucking stupid.
Enough crap that's been going on that I agree that should be they should be taken out of here. But when your government has given somebody, be it in a past regime or something like that, has given somebody a pass on being here, and you kidnap them and send them out without due process, that's a whole other story. We were talking about this the last time, if you remember.
You're referring to that certain gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now from what I hear, he did go to court at some point, and he was deemed as deportable, and well, he got deported. So,
but the thing
I guess
of it
he had
is,
due process, didn't he?
They gave him a pass. He was a working member in the society. He was a union member. He was a metal worker.
Oh, there we go. He's a union member. That's why you're sticking up for him.
That's not the only reason.
I get that. All right, I get it.
When your government gives you a pass, say, let me see if I can give you an example on how I look at this. If the government comes by and says, Dale, we're going to give you a pass. We know that you bought a Ford, and it's illegal to buy a Ford. We're going to give you a pass on that, and you can stay in this country as long as you're a productive member. And then that same government comes over a month or two, let's say 4 years later. And that same government says, Dale, you bought a Ford, you're out of here. Now, they pretty much told him he could stay, and then all of a sudden they kidnap him and throw him out of the country.
Who told him he could stay?
The government.
See, that's where we're having an issue, I guess. The government encompasses a whole lot of things. Who said?
I'd have to research that out. I don't know exactly.
I mean, because the president
I would imagine
said,
it'd be the naturalization.
They
thing.
said you're here illegally and you need to be deported, and you have links to MS-13. So we're throwing your ass out.
Then I want to see the link. I want to see the proof of the links to MS-13 too.
Well, I mean, yeah. I agree, but I mean, you have to look at the rationale here. There's the government said that he gets a pass. What do you mean he gets a pass? He gets a pass for what?
He gets to stay in his country
because he goes to work every day.
Because he was seeking asylum.
And Lord knows what he's doing on the side. He was basically seeking asylum. I know a lot of drug dealers that have fucking jobs. They go to work every day. I mean, does that allow their drug sales and whatnot to be okay? because they go to work every day and they contribute to society?
Does that give them the right
Well, no, it doesn't.
to
So in lies the problem. You will never get the full story
and that
of what the situation was with this individual, because between your crooked fucking media and everything else, nobody is going to tell you actually what went on. That is where the difficulty falls. So it's like you're stuck in a spot where you have to pick a side when you don't really want to pick a side, because it's like, hey, if he was wrongfully sent off, then that I have sympathy for the guy and I want him to be brought back over here. But if there's some nefarious shit going on, then I'm all for throwing this motherfucker in El Salvador. But you and I, and that is
we'll
the
never,
problem.
we'll never know.
Nobody will tell us the truth, whether it be the current government, the president of the United States, our House of Reps, our Senate, or the news media. Nobody is going to tell you what actually happened. They are going to tell you what they want to tell you in order to try to force you to form an opinion upon half facts.
I agree. I
Problem.
agree with you with that point. The other thing that popped in my mind while you were talking there is that as far as knowing the truth and stuff like that, you're never going to get it, because you've got three sides to every story. You got his side, her side, and the right side, and you very rarely does the right side ever come out. But it's my
That's true, but if
my
you can
word
at least
against you.
get close, but the way things, I mean, you remember the news back in the day, okay? This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's everything is twisted now in order to push a narrative, in order to get somebody's thoughts pushed across. And it's ridiculous. That's why I do not watch the news. And I don't trust most parts of the government. I don't trust a lot of shit.
You've had
I got shit I can tolerate.
You've had propaganda since the beginning of time, basically, or the beginning.
Yeah, but it's so widespread now.
It was widespread back then.
I mean, hell, fucking Hitler
just
was throwing out the propaganda that the Democratic Party is throwing out right now.
He actually
come on.
Hitler had a propaganda minister. He was paid to put up propaganda like that. You basically have the same thing over here. If you think about it, there's no, I have to agree with the fact that it, as far as you've had propaganda through history, you watch any kind of, even in the cartoons, you go back to about World War II, for instance, when the cartoons that were being put out were all war support, and you buy U.S. bonds and this and that and the other thing. And for them to, there was no such thing as a good Hitler. Oh, Hitler's terrible. The world's at war, and buy U.S. bonds. You're going to find, if you watch any of that kind of stuff, you're going to find that this whole world revolves around money. And when you got when you got press and media outlets like you do nowadays, there is so much money involved in that. You ain't never gonna get the truth.
Well, you're gonna hear something out of me now that is probably gonna throw you off because it throws a lot of people off. But you bring up Hitler. Um, if he hadn't have fucked up like he did because he got too cocky, Hitler was a brilliant man.
Oh, I know that.
Okay. And I know everybody, oh, Donald Trump was Hitler. Donald Trump was this. Donald Trump was that. Blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, could you imagine being a short, dark haired, brown eyed man raised by Jews standing up and saying, our race should be a bunch of 6-foot, blonde, blue eyed motherfuckers, and we should kill all the Jews. And he got dumbasses to fucking believe him. Now, the first person they should have killed was him because he didn't fit the profile. But yet, the way he spoke, because he was eloquent in his speaking, he was able to fucking get away with it. And that is just absolutely bizarre. I in no way, I am not saying anything that Hitler did was good. He was a horrible son of a bitch, and he should have been killed. But the way the mind worked and the speaking, you have to give a little bit of respect for. But he still was a crazy son of a bitch that deserved to die.
Life in the 30s and 40s when he came to power was a whole lot different. And in a lot of aspects, it's not much different in the U.S. today. You have people that, no, I'm not pointing, by no means pointing any fingers here or nothing. But you have a lot of people that are just, they said that about okay. Yeah, I'm going to follow him. I'm going to take and follow. I think he is the man for the job. He's right and everybody else is wrong. And this is what I'm going to follow him. And then you get another one that says, hey, Joe Schmo over there is following him. Why shouldn't I? And some of these politicians and news outlets lead people around by their nose.
I've been saying that for weeks.
And I find it incredible to actually, it's like I've said before 100 times, I am really living in a world that I do not understand. It was not this way.
Why could we not get news back? Just give me the news. Don't give me your fucking opinion. Because I don't give a fuck what your opinion is. Just give me the news.
Too much propaganda.
It's if you go back to way back when you were young, they would say the stock market did this, the stock market did that, the stock market did something else. Now all of a sudden, well, due to Donald Trump, the stock market did. The stock market did. Oh, well, due to Donald Trump, the stock market went up. Due to Donald Trump, the stock market went down. And it's a fucking huge blame game. And then, Congress did this and did that. Whatever happened. And no, I don't. I would like to know who was involved and what they may have or may have done in the process, but just give me the news, not your opinion. And that started when news channels found that they could get more ratings by being opinionated rather than reporting the news because of social media and all these other things. And you get all these fucking people that think that, everything they see on their fucking Facebook is, oh my God, I saw it on Facebook. It's the truth. I mean, it's bullshit.
Yeah, as I just,
That was a hint.
I know there was, and I took it as that. But as far as, I don't believe, it seems like all this stuff started when CNN hit cable. At least the worst of it now. That's when your big media actually started coming out and taking over the airwaves and all that. And little did anybody realize until a few years ago that they were doing this stuff. I didn't realize it. I used to watch the news just to, but then you started getting these Rachel Maddows
A
and
whole lot of folks still don't realize it. That's the problem. We're aiming toward the people that have the feeble minds because of the way the education system's gone and blah 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 blah. That's a whole different conversation. But we have feeble, easy to manipulate people running around our country, and that's why they do what they do.
I completely agree with that. Believe it or not. There's another topic that just popped into my mind. I wanted to ask you about. This is kind of off the cuff, so I'll expect any answer I can get. What do you think about this business with these the government using unprotected communications sources, such as Mr. Hegseth and company, when they were when they let that newspaper guy in? Because I've got a reason for asking this, and that reason is, do you know he's done it again? Who
I was not aware of that,
who's
but
going to
I
answer
would
for that?
say that the particular individual that did this needs to be in question.
Who's going to
Because
answer
I
for
mean,
this?
if you're just gonna, because I do know what you're talking about when that went to a newsman that was sitting there listening to shit, and obviously nothing bad happened because of him hearing that. But then he went back and reported that, hey guys, I got to hear this shit. This is what happened, and I'm assuming they were able to go back through shit and be like, well, yeah, that he said this, and he said this, and he said this. Well, that's what they said, so he must have been listening. Um, so yeah, that person, um,
Who do you think should answer for that? Should it be Hegseth?
yes,
I agree.
I mean the individual that did it needs to answer for it. Absolutely.
Because I guess from what I saw a little news blurb about it even earlier today about how he had done it again, and that
I
um,
haven't seen that.
they had him on actually talking on like a news clip that I was watching, and he says there was no secrecy. We were just talking about plans, and there was no secret or uh, um, there was no documents that were discussed or anything like that. We were just talking about. Well, it doesn't matter. You don't do that stuff on an unsecured line. You know?
I can't disagree. I get
Whoa.
what he's saying. I didn't discuss actual battle plans. I just said, we got a little something, something, and it doesn't say uh, what was going to happen when or blah 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 blah. But the fact that you're saying this and some dumbass can pick up the conversation is, and I think I heard a little something. I think I've heard like a video blurb on that. And to be honest with you, I mean, to know that a reporter was listening to this, kind of, yeah, that bugged me. I mean, because now we just got done talking about the news and how we don't trust the motherfuckers and how they use things to twist things and to make the American people think this or that. And then you got this situation going on. That's just fueling the fire,
Yep.
you know. So yeah, I mean, whoever this individual is needs to be handled. And I mean, they need to handle that. And then now you're telling me allegedly that it has happened the second time. Then this individual needs to lose their job.
I agree.
And if what he's done is bad enough, he needs to see his day in court. Because I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, it just, to me, it's just kind of rang. It, it's that old thing about fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you.
Right.
And it's for him not to get the hint after the first one, just flipping incredible. Anyway, let's think that is that all the. We talked about the immigrant. We talked about the other stuff I had. The other thing, let's go into this last this one topic we agreed to talk about. If I was able to find a clip for or not. But let's. I kind of would like to talk about the. Do you think that there should be when a cop pulls you over? Do you think that he should be educated enough to know the Constitution and how to act under the Constitution? And what we do, and if you do agree with that, what do we do to fix some of the stuff that's going on here? Mike?
Well, for them to know the Constitution per memorization, the certain points, and you're talking about the amendments. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
We discussed it. Yeah, it's nice to know those and know what they mean. But these police officers are taught laws of the land, and then they're taught laws within their local district that they're policing. So, as a police officer, I guess one would assume that the laws within the city that you're policing would already align with the Constitution before you try to, invoke anything, ask people questions, do whatever. That's kind of the way I look at it. It should be, as a cop, you're told, okay, here's your handful of laws. These are the laws that you need to make sure people are following. Your assumption should be, well, my city is following the Constitution. So therefore, if I follow the rules that have been set forth by my department, then I should be okay.
Let me tell you about a little of one of the videos that I watched yesterday. There was a woman from California that was traveling across the country. She stopped, I think, in Missouri to take and visit relatives on her. I think she was on her way to Iowa or somewhere like that. Well, the whole scenario here, this cop gets behind her, sees that she's got California tags that were expired. Now he pulls her over, and the first thing he says was, "You aren't wearing your seatbelt." She says, Are you detaining me because of my seatbelt?" He wouldn't answer. She says, "Well, I don't need to provide you any of my information, because you have to have a suspicion that I've committed a crime." He ends up, because she got a little cocky with him, he ends up cuffing her in front of this 12-year-old child, takes her back and puts her in the police car. He allows her to take and call the child's mother and father, and they come out to the scene of the crime, I guess. And she says, he says, "Well, I'm not going to take and," he says, "You're under arrest for resisting arrest." And in no way did she never raised a finger at the guy. He arrests her for then he turns around, he opens up the car door with a poor little 12-year-old shivering in there, starts talking to the 12-year-old, and the 12-year-old said, he asked the 12-year-old, "Well, why didn't your aunt stop?" She says, "Well, she didn't think she had to stop because she didn't do anything wrong." He goes and tells his boss this. You know, the child is 12 years old. That was probably the most objectionable part I saw of this. Then he takes and they get the little girl out of the car, give the little girl over to her mother, and while these people are on the way to pick this little girl up, he's going through the car, going through the woman's purse, and he took her phone out of there. He looked to see how much cash she had in there. He looked at the contents of her purse. He damn near dumped the purse out. And
they usually do.
There is such thing. I'm not exactly sure how the law works with that.
Did she get arrested?
Yes, she was arrested.
Once that's done, whether it be legally or not, they're allowed to go through all the shit. They could have fucking ripped that car apart.
Well, he said, he opened the door.
Once an arrest is made, they have probable cause to do any kind of search that they want to do.
He opens the door and he goes, "I smell marijuana in here." There was no marijuana in that.
Yeah, there wasn't
an ounce of marijuana within 500 miles of that car. But
well, I wouldn't take it that far. Let's drop down the mileage a little bit. We got stoners everywhere. Maybe take that down to like an eighth of a mile or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
somebody was high.
I don't know. I'm going to have to do some more research on this particular subject because ever since.
But the what I'm not understanding is we're saying basically that all this has happened and she hasn't committed a crime.
Yep.
Well, the crime was you got expired tags. That's a crime.
But he said he was going to let her slide on that one.
That is a crime. You have broken the law.
He said that he was going to let her slide on that one because what she said is, "I'm moving from California to Iowa, and I wasn't sure where I was going to register the car at, and I didn't really plan on getting pulled over. So, when I get to Iowa, I'm going to register the car."
Is that his fault?
She's
broke the law.
The cop said that he was going to let her
She
slide
should have
on
had
it.
her shit, just like I'm telling you, your daughter, little Miss Melanie, is going to have the same fucking problem. Okay? Justine and I were just discussing it. She wants to go to Texas, and she wants to take Vincent with her. And Vincent does not have a real ID because the names between the Social Security card and the birth certificate do not match due to the adoption, whatever. And she's now trying to, finally, after God knows how many months, trying to get this taken care of. And at the time she wants to leave, I'm going to guess it ain't going to be taken care of quick enough, which means he will not have a real ID and he will not be able to fly. So now we know Vincent is an American citizen, and he should be okay to fly, but the rules state you got to have this, and this in order to do your thing, to get onto a plane. Just like you have to have this, and this in order to drive a vehicle. Well, I know my license expired, but I was moving from here to here and I didn't know where I wanted to get my new license from. So I just didn't get my license fixed, and I just figured I wouldn't get pulled over. No, the woman broke the law. And that's that's that liberal point of view is, oh, come on, just let it go. Just this time, let that go, let this go, let something else go. And then you see why we have fucking morons running around our country. Okay? She broke the law. Okay. End of rant.
I gotta admit, this has been pretty enjoyable tonight. But the other thing that, but I guess it doesn't make any difference if you look at it from your perspective of it. Is not fastening your seatbelt and an expired registration enough to take and put you in jail?
That's not why she got put in jail.
She
did not get put in jail because she had expired.
He said she was resisting arrest, and that you couldn't see any of that in the video.
Oh, well, what was he arresting her for?
Because she actually got cocky with him.
And did what?
Just took and said she didn't have to stop. Matter of opinion.
Well, no, she did have to stop. But
the whole thing comes down.
So that charge. What did they put? Willful fleeing on there also? Because that's basically what she did.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch these videos and you have to be careful with them.
And I know that.
Because they edit certain parts out to make certain things look a little bit different than they are. Especially like when you're watching that shit where it's like, well, I'm a sovereign citizen.
Oh,
shut the fuck up.
That's a joke.
No, you're not. I mean, you live here, you do this, you do that. You just want to fuck with, and these people that are videotaping this shit, they're doing what they're doing on purpose in order to start that controversy, in order to get people like you to sympathize with them. When it's like, you know what, if you was just doing what you was supposed to do, like get your tags, get your fucking license, get whatever, before you drove from California to fucking Iowa or whatever, there wouldn't have been an issue. Okay, all right. You got caught without a seatbelt. You got a quick little seatbelt ticket and have been sent on your fucking way. But you have to escalate the situation and make it worse because you want to be an asshole. You know, that man's just doing his fucking job. If you're in a fucking state or a city or a county that says that you must be wearing your seatbelt and that is considered a primary offense, he had all the right in the world to pull her over. So, how's he the bad guy? Just doing his job. What if your boss told you, "Hey, move that pile of shit from the right side to the left side"? You went, "Fuck you! No, I ain't doing it." Well, what's going to happen? There's going to be consequences and repercussions.
You're fired.
Okay, well, I mean, follow the law. It's just like, we'll go into concealed carry for about 2 seconds. We don't have to get deep into it.
All right.
Now, obviously, in the state of Ohio, I do not need a concealed carry permit. Okay, because I'm an Ohio citizen, and I don't need a concealed carry permit. So therefore, I no longer have one. But when I did, there are between Ohio and other states what they call reciprocity. So if I go into this state or that state or another state, then having my concealed carry permit from Ohio would allow me to carry a weapon in that particular state. It is my job to know the laws of each individual state that I am driving through. Hell, I might have to pull off at the rest stop before I get to the border, take my gun off, and put it in the fucking trunk because the next state I might be driving through might not have reciprocity. Well, that's on me. So if I leave my gun on and I drive through that state and I get pulled over, and for whatever reason, that officer figures out that I'm toting a fucking weapon, now I just broke some laws. It's your job. Remember, they used to say ignorance of the law is no excuse?
Yep.
Okay. Maybe she needed to wear a seatbelt in that fucking state. But see, they don't tell you that in the video. He may have had all the right in the world to pull her over for a seatbelt, and she decided to escalate that situation because she wanted to be fucking butthurt. Guess what? Just take your lumps. I fucked up. Okay, give me my ticket. Send me on my way. I'll pay it. That's the way I try to live. I'm like, hey, okay, I fucked up. You know, I got pulled over for speeding. You know, do I want to sit there and argue with the cop to be like, listen, okay, I know I was doing 65 in a 55, but you see all these fucking people passing me? Why'd you pick me out to stop? That's what you want to say. But now you're starting an argument. You're better off just to go, you know what? I broke the law. Take your fucking ticket and move on down the street. Especially if you got some weed in the car or some other stupid shit. Just take the ticket, move on down the street, and not escalate the situation to a point where now these people are digging through your car and doing all kind of other crazy bullshit. It's stupid. It's stupid. If you fucked up, you fucked up. Own it. It's like, hey, you're a Catholic man. You go to confession. What do? You confess your sins. You're like, yep, I fucked up. I did this. I did this. I did this. I did this. Well, why can't you do that in regular life? Just admit you fucked up, take your lumps, and move on.
Well, personally, I would rather know what my rights are as far as any kind of traffic infractions or what they're allowed to take and when they're allowed to ask me for my driver's license or what have you. Not because I don't agree with the laws in the state or anything like that, but because I want to know if if somebody pulls me over on a public street. Another thing that I've seen a lot of videos on, and I might as well go into this for a couple minutes anyway, is these guys that are supposedly law testers. They'll take and get on a public sidewalk and walk around videotaping or filming different buildings and that. And somebody inside the building sees them and they call the police, and the police come out, and the first thing they say is, what are you doing here? Filming? Filming what? I don't think it's any of your business. What are you filming? I'm claiming my First Amendment right. Okay, after you tell them that, if you refuse to answer any questions, if you've done something seriously wrong, then they're gonna take you in, they're gonna put you in jail or whatever. But if you're just walking up and down the street, taking a video camera and swinging it around and walking around, stuff like that, where they get the right to actually detain you and pull you over or whatever for...
They have the right to talk to you and detain you if the situation arises. And I've seen these videos, and I get it. And what you were wanting to say was the Fifth Amendment and not the First. Because, yes, they were exercising their First Amendment, but when they don't want to tell you nothing, that's your Fifth Amendment. But now you have situations with all this domestic terrorism and all these other things going on. Are you filming this place because you want to figure out where you could put a bomb? Are you looking to time when a security guard's going to come by? Are you looking to do this? Are you looking to do that? So, yes, someone is going to come up and ask you questions. But if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. It's just like the state of Ohio has open carry. Let's say I toss on a holster and I walk into the fucking McDonald's with a gun hanging out of my fucking side. Now, do you not think someone's going to call the police because I'm in the McDonald's with a gun? Probably. Okay, especially if there's people behind me. Then the police officer comes up. Hey, he's going to probably try to secure my weapon. He's going to pull me aside, and we're going to have a conversation. And then he's going to figure out that, well, I didn't do anything wrong, and he's going to let me go. So it's a matter of, I could strap on a gun right now. So can you, and just walk down the damn street. Is it worth the inconvenience? Or do you think, as a police officer, you're in a neighborhood that, whatever, whether it be a good neighborhood, bad neighborhood, anything in between, and a cop drives by and sees you fucking toting a fucking gun, you think that he should have no right to come over and question you about it? If you're not doing anything wrong, what the fuck you got to worry about?
Questioning me and
that's the way I look at it.
And wanting to
it's an
feel
inconvenience.
Questioning me and wanting to feel to identify me are two different things, Dad.
I mean, hell, let's go into Akron. And all the thugs and all the good people are walking down the street with guns hanging off their sides, because, well, it's legal. And then, well, I can't say nothing to him. I can't say nothing to him. Can't say nothing to him. I can't say nothing to nobody. I don't know if that's guns legal, illegal. I don't know if they're legal, illegal. I don't know if you're an ex-con. I don't know this. I don't know that. So if they don't stop and talk to you, they don't know the answer.
Like I
You're
said,
gonna have an inconvenience.
like I said,
It's going
though,
to happen if you push the limits. You're going to get that inconvenience.
like I said, I can see somebody coming up and saying, "What the hell are you doing here?" Got no problem with that. I'm filming. I'm a photographer, and I'm looking for. I'm filming stuff for a movie I'm doing, or I'm doing something for a video that I'm creating for my place of business. But for them to come up and say, "What's your name? I want your license and I want your ID and I want to see your ID." They got no business doing that unless they think a crime's been committed. And I agree 100% with that.
I agree.
They don't need to be, you know.
I agree.
If they've got any business with you,
here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that. I agree exactly with what you're saying. Okay, I'm not committing a crime, but you've already been stopped and might as well say detained by the police. They ask for your ID, and sometimes they're not allowed to do it. And I think it's okay to say, well, what crime do you think I've committed? All right. And you can go from there. But at the end of the day, if what you're doing nothing wrong, just give me your fucking ID and go on about your business. Why is it you have to be spiteful? And I understand because they like to do this with youth. They'll come up on youth and be like, "I'd like to search a vehicle." Are you allowed to do that? Yeah. Okay, then. So what they do? They just gave them permission to search the vehicle and didn't even realize they fucking did it because they thought, because you have to understand a police officer, especially when you're being interrogated, they're allowed to lie to you. They can lie to you all they want to get you to say what they want you to say. So you got to stick by your shit. But sometimes it's just easier to go with the flow and just be on your way. Because as soon as I say, "I'm not showing you my ID," what's the first thing they think? There's something nefarious going on. That's what they're looking for. That's why they're asking that question. Because as soon as you say no, they assume something nefarious.
It isn't their job to assume.
Now you get these guys out here that are YouTubers and shit and taking videos. They're making damn sure that they ain't doing nothing wrong before they get pulled over. Yep. But in general life, it's a lot different. So you're not getting the clean cut look at how that's working.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I've learned in my 70 years on this planet is that anytime you're going to deal with the police as far as any investigations or anything like that, you're much better off to tell them you invoke your Fifth Amendment right and or your first and fifth, and I refuse to answer any questions until I have a lawyer present, because a lot of times people don't, it cracks me up a lot of times when I see these crime shows on TV, and I don't watch a ton of them, but I watch enough that I'll catch one here and there. When they come on there and they start talking to these people that they've arrested, they read them the Miranda rights, and during the Miranda rights, You want to, oh, I don't need no attorney. I didn't do nothing wrong. Wrong. Not me.
Oh, I agree because I've heard that
you,
from.
You're going to arrest me. You're going to take me to and try to interrogate me. You're not doing it without a lawyer.
It's been it's. I mean, you gotta if you're gonna do that, you gotta make sure you're, clear cut and whatnot. But I listened to I watched a video that a guy was teaching lawyers and whatnot. He was giving a speech, and he was a ex-detective and explaining what they do. And he's like, I don't let's just say I shot somebody, and I know in my heart of hearts that guy pulled a gun out on me, and he was about to shoot me, and I killed him. Okay, well, you get in there and they're like, well, if you're innocent, there's nothing you need to worry about. Just tell us what happened. No, you don't say shit, because they will take one little thing
and blow it up
and twist it. Let's just say you get into court and you don't recall the exact wordage you used with the police officer. Now they'll twist it around, make it look like you were lying, and then all of a sudden you're looking like the bad guy now. So he's like, no. Your Fifth Amendment is the most important thing in your life. Use it. Whether you're in the right or in the wrong, don't say shit to nobody. Fuck them.
Yep.
That was basically what he said as an ex-detective that was then explaining later on how, and showing videos on how he would interrogate people and get them to talk. So, take it from a guy that's been in the biz, he's like, no, just shut the fuck up.
Yep.
We'll say nothing.
Don't say nothing.
Because they have to prove that you did something. If you give them information, then they can find a way to try to prove that you did something. And then all they got to do is make the jury think that you're lying more than they are. Whereas if you don't say shit, the burden's all on them.
Yep.
So,
man, this was a quick hour and 10 minutes. I'm telling you what. I didn't think it'd go that quick. But anyway, let's. If it's all right with you, we can go ahead and wrap it for today.
All right.
And it's been very enjoyable tonight.
That's because I didn't have to beat you up.
Yeah. I hate getting beat. Just like you do.
You didn't cross too many boundaries.
Yeah. Well, there's always next week.
Yeah, I'm a good boy, but you're going to push the buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
It is what it is.
All right, we will go ahead and wrap this up for this week. Coming up next on Saturday is the Four Guys on Sports. Then we will be, then we'll go into Sunday, the return of Radioactive, which I'm going to try to cover a couple things with our truck driving friend regarding police pullovers and stuff like that. I'm going to ask him what you told me to ask him, Dale.
Oh, okay. Like I said, maybe that's not happening.
We're going to
I don't know.
We'll do a
Just
segment
be curious,
on that.
because he's probably, and then find out too if he's been pulled over just as a normal person in a car, and if the interactions were different.
Yeah, if you're off work, you gotta come
that's
on.
a curiosity thing.
If you're off work, you got to come in. Anyway, we will go ahead and...
Oh, you're talking about Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Well, I'm off work, so I mean...
well, pop on if you want to.
I had to work this week.
I'm planning on offering him. So.
Of course, it was Easter, and that's what, we do.
Yeah.
We work when y'all are enjoying yourselves.
Yep, that's the service industry.
But hey, I had an enjoyable Easter, except, up until I passed out. Yeah, well, come on, I worked late on Saturday,
Yeah, you told me
and
that.
I get home and do my thing, and I get the 3.5 hours of sleep. Got to be back into work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Get off work at about 2 o'clock, 2:30, somewhere in there. Come home, got to change clothes, go directly to my sister's house. And yeah, there was no rest for the wicked there at all. So by the end of the night, yeah, Dale was done.
I believe that.
I was done.
I used to burn a candle on both ends like that myself.
Well, yeah, sometimes when the holidays come up, that's what we do. You
Yeah.
don't have a choice.
All right, then. We will see everybody uh, over the course of the next 2 weeks. This show will be back in 2 weeks from tonight, and hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about. Have a great one. Thanks again, Dale, and we'll see y'all 73.